Shall we begin?
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the More Than Just Keto podcast. This is season 2, episode number 5, and I am one of your hosts, Ashley.
Hey, y'all. I am your other host, Molly. You know, something that really baffles me is how a way of eating can be so controversial. And I'm specifically talking about keto. How controversial is keto?
It's everyone has an opinion. Everyone.
Whether they're right or wrong. When they don't even know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. But I literally, anytime I have ever had a conversation about it, it's fueled with different opinions. And
Let's go over some. So some people, okay, so we're going to talk about keto, and we're going to talk about...
I can rattle some things off people say.
Give us some, because I got some too. Tell us some. It's a cult. Keto is a cult.
The opposite of vegan.
I haven't heard that one. The opposite of vegan.
You're basically vegan,
because you're eating a whole bunch of meat.
Yeah, keto people just tell everybody what they're doing and tell everyone, oh, the carbs are bad for everyone. No one should eat carbs.
Right.
Oh, that means you can never eat bread and pasta. Like, there's a lot of stigma attached to it.
It's so unhealthy.
It's so unhealthy.
Your organs are going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
What else do people say? So you can't have fruit,
right?
Or vegetables.
Yeah.
Isn't your cholesterol like out of control?
Yes,
I can never do that.
And I can attest, because I did have my blood work and they did check my cholesterol and everything was great. My triglycerides or whatever, all that fancy science stuff. I was in top shape. So that is a lie. We have determined that is a lie.
A lie.
Now, like we've talked about
a certain way, but
right. I mean, which brings us to pretty much what we're talking about in this episode, which is more like along the lines of keto is not one size fits all. But
it's also not a food. So just if we needed to clear that up again.
We're not going to get Molly started on that one. Keto is not a food.
It's not a food. But
it's not a food.
I've said that about 100 times. But
yes.
Just in case you forgot.
We're going to keep reminding you. But it's not one size fits all. But people would like you to think it is. They would like you to think, and I really believe, because I see this in our community, a lot of people are programmed a certain way. And this is them and keto. They've got their blinders on completely. And this is what they've learned about keto. And this is what they're going to stick to. Keto, as we talked about so many times, it's a metabolic state. Yeah. It's not a food.
No.
So
it's also deeply personal. It may not come across that way because we post so much on social media and we share.
Right.
But the reason why we say it's not one size fits all is because that's so true. No two people do it exactly the same. They just don't. Don't. We all make different choices and we all like different things. And I think we're so used to, like you said, you're told like, okay, this is the diet. This is what you need to do. And we talked about this when we talked about meal plans and all that stuff. Like, I want the information. I need to do it this way. There's guidelines, and then there's, finding your own journey. And then there's being told what to do. Right. So it's very obvious. We don't agree with following somebody's exact journey, that you really need to discover this stuff for yourself. In that case, what does that mean for you? Like, how is this going to look for you?
Because it looks different for everybody. When it comes to keto, when I watch people, because people make videos, people, the experts out there, they love to put keto down. And then people in the comments of those videos where these experts are putting keto down, the comments are insane with how mean people are about keto people. And then they'll say, oh, here comes the keto people to throw their fits. Oh, here comes the keto cult. They're going to let y'all know you're wrong.
The club.
They're going to let you know. Yeah. And you know what?
Keto police. I think that gets a bad name from the keto police, which people that just basically say that's not keto, or this is keto. Or
I think the keto police are more inside the keto community, whereas these ones that call us a cult are outside the keto community. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. So it's coming from two different places.
And I think just like keto, I think a lot of different styles of eating or different types of eating, because I actually had this conversation a few months ago with a friend who is vegan. And before, I'm not going to lie, like I thought those people were crazy. But I've learned that you do what works for you, and it doesn't matter. We don't have to eat the same way.
No.
But I can still respect like her choices and what she eats. And same for her to me. And then she was like, I wonder if I can do keto vegan. I'm like, you know what? I know some people that have done something similar to that. So maybe you could. Just being open, I think, is something that we're lacking, or that we don't see until you're in the community and you're starting to sort of work on yourself and make changes to your diet and all this kind of stuff. I think that's when your perception of like what works and what doesn't work and what's considered drastic or extreme, when you're not doing the thing, it may seem from the outside like it's just so not natural or normal, because we've normalized something that really isn't great. And that's part of the problem.
Wait, we normalize something that isn't great. What do you mean?
With the standard American diet.
Oh, that. I thought you meant keto. I was like, wait, the standard American diet is not.
The people that are attacking these different ways of eating, and it's not just keto. It's a lot. I mean, keto gets a lot of heat. Vegan gets a lot of heat.
Yeah.
You don't see like Atkins and Weight Watchers get the same. Beachbody does get a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
Or a little shade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's because it's an MLM, I think, more so than anything. Because they've got great workout programs and food plans. They're pretty normal.
And once again, people decide what they think is extreme, what they think is not healthy, what they think is not natural, what they think is weird or whatever. And that's all an opinion.
It totally is. But let me add to what you're saying right now, because this reminds me of something I just took a screenshot of yesterday or day before. I can't remember which. But you were just talking about how the normal way of eating, right? Yeah. The standard American diet. Mm-hmm. And unless you do your own research,
right?
What do they call it? Become woke, like meaning become woke to your own health. Wake
up to what's going on with your body, your food, everything.
Yes, and paying attention to how different foods are affecting you, because these are the things I know that I did and I know you've done. So because we've done those things, it just so happens that what we decided to do was keto, because the reality is what we did is we took out the sugar, we took out the chemicals, the processed food.
Yeah.
And what are we left with? Keto, because that's basically what it is. Protein, veggies, low carb, keeping things at a certain level. But this is what I want to share real quick, because this is the normal. I saw a post talking about the obesity rate, okay? Yeah. And we've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. But it talked about...
It's definitely going up. We're trending at like new
big
levels
time.
Of dangerous.
But this particular one talked about like in 1990, the percentages were way down in obesity.
Yeah.
And then this last study that I saw was like 2018 and how they had skyrocketed. But this is the part. The 90s and 2000s saw a lot of change to our food supply as well. I already posted on it before, but here we go again. This is it. And this is from someone named The Natural Minded Mom. 1983, aspartame was allowed in carbonated drinks. 1988, FDA approved ACE-K. 1993, FDA approved RBST and RBGH growth hormones for cows. 94, FDA began approving GMOs in food supply. 96, Roundup Ready soy approved for U.S. food supply. 1998, Roundup Ready corn approved for U.S. food supply. 98 was also GMO canola approved. 2000, organic labeling implemented. In 2007, GMO sugar beets approved. These are just some things, and the point is, they demonized fat and just put sugar and crap in our food, which in return has done what? It's led to obesity. It's led to our problems, because the obesity, what does that lead to? Heart disease, diabetes, and all these other things that are killing people.
Our blood sugar is out of control. Yes. Our glucose levels are extremely high because of the additives in the food. When you start keto, you realize how much of your food has been tampered with. What I mean by that is that they've taken something that shouldn't have sugar in it, like meat or vegetables with a sauce, for example.
Right.
And they've added sugar to it.
Right.
They've added
for
starch
flavor
or carbs or whatever for flavor, or just for
And they took the fat out.
packaging, like whatever. Right. And so we see that when we start keto, it's very easy to get in this headspace of like, I can't have this, I can't have that, which is when we started the episode, we talked about what do people say? And
Right.
it's all negative, right? It's
Yeah.
all coming
Yeah.
from a sense of deprivation, because that's what we see when we see keto is you can't have, you can't have. I can't possibly imagine not doing my
Not
standard American diet.
right.
And
Because
that's
that's what they're used
because
to.
we've been eating this way for so long and we're really addicted to the way we eat.
And then look what's happened.
And
But
we're
see,
all
that's,
overweight.
and
I mean,
that's
not
the
all of
part.
us, but I
No,
don't
no, no,
hate to
but
generalize, but
America is overweight.
as a country, we are overweight.
America is overweight, even obese. So
Yes.
to me,
Sad, actually.
this is like that thing of, how do people not see this? Do you know what I mean? It's one of those moments. Like when I say, how do people not see this? But then I remember, I didn't see it. I didn't see it for my whole life because I never opened I just never came across the idea of it. And somewhere along the line in my health journey where I was actively trying to become a healthier version of me, I came across it. And little by little, I've uncovered more and more and became more knowledgeable and more knowledgeable. And I'm a firm believer, when you know better, you do better, period. So I know better now. I do better.
And I know we talked about this in the last season about how, you know, part of me really wonders when we look at the statistics of America being obese and we look at mental health, there is
Oh, definite.
100%
Definite.
a direct correlation in the
Yes.
two. And what I'm really wondering is we've spent the last 18 months through a pandemic. Mental health is in in even worse shape than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Are we going to see? Well, we're already seeing people are call it the COVID 30 pounds up or
Yeah.
quarantine something. There's another,
I can't remember, but yeah, there's the little things that people have said.
there's all these memes about the quarantine 15, the quarantine this and that,
Yeah.
that everybody's gained weight because we're at home and we're comforting with food and all of these things are happening. And it is a sign of mental health, and it is a sign of just health in general, and what's happening in the world is going to dictate that even further. And if there is ever a time to look at your food and look what you're eating and make some changes, this is it. This is the time where you need to be healthy.
Yeah.
And I do think we're going to see these levels of the rates of obesities. I do think we're going to see the rates of obesity go even higher
That
than
is
they've
so
been.
upsetting to think.
And it is sad. And you're right. When you're in it, you can't understand, but also keto wasn't even something I knew existed. It's much more present now. There's some good and bad things about this. There's some bad things about General Mills slapping keto on every box, but you know what? The word is advertising, and it is a way for people to see it and maybe
to make it more
question
normal,
where
I guess.
I have never seen it. So unless I heard, and this is how I started, I heard from my mom who read it somewhere and experimented with it, I would have never given it the chance. So I hope that means that because more and more people are starting to do this and more doctors are supporting this for certain people, that we still have a chance to make a change in our lives, especially with everything going on in the world.
You saying that made me think of something that I see over and over again. There are some very adamant people out there that absolutely hate keto.
Yeah.
And when I watch them just hating, I mean, they don't just say, they're like, keto is blah, blah, blah. Like, they have such a strong opinion. I think, what happened to you? Like, why are you so hurt about this? I don't get it. And I don't know the experience they've had with it. Maybe a lot of the people I'm talking about, they're personal trainers. They hate it. But you know what I've seen more and more? I've seen a lot more people who work out and train that have gone keto. I've seen a lot more than I used to see it. And I remember that little video you did on TikTok. It was so good. The one about working out.
Gain muscle. I hear that all the time.
That's crazy.
All the time. Well, if you really want to actually bulk up, or
then you need carbohydrates.
If you want to build lean muscle, then you need carbohydrates. But glucose is better utilized when you're doing your workouts. But the thing is, we do still have glucose in our systems.
Right.
what I'm doing when I'm working out is getting into my stores and
Right.
I'm expelling anything. I'm making my body work really hard to go in there and get that little bit of glucose that's there and give me that spurt and that jolt. I
Mm-hmm.
have never, ever felt like I couldn't complete my workout after the first maybe month or two. I mean, there is a
Right.
transition here. And I think that could be a problem is that people start this, they realize that it's such a major process and like it's not good for you. Anything worth doing is going to be hard,
It's going to take
period.
time too.
And it's going to
It's a
take time.
process.
You can't just do all these things at
It
one
doesn't just happen
time.
like this.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, too, though, what I feel like when I hear these people that I'm talking about, when I hear them so passionately and adamantly against it, I just think to myself, and when they talk about things, I just hear them and I think, dude, you are showing how ignorant you are. Because I'm not going to go talk about gain, like, I'm not going to go talk about muscle gain and how it works and how doing this particular exercise focuses on this particular muscle and does this particular. I'm not even going to pretend to know because I've never been much of a bodybuilder. I've worked out, but I've never really
Right.
studied the science of the body and building the muscle. I've never studied that. But keto, I've done a lot of research and I've experienced it. And I think there is such a lot to be said for experience. That right there
Yeah.
speaks volumes over anything that you've. I think a lot of these people, they hear things, then they just decide that's what it is. Without doing any research or learning about it, they just decide to give their ignorant opinion on it. And I love this
Yeah.
guy, Dr. Ryan Lowry. Is that his last name?
I
He has the
think so,
Keto
yeah.
Bible, I think it is.
Yeah.
He is so knowledgeable on keto and he will absolutely give the most, like, he does these videos where he's debunking like what these people are saying. Like nutritionists and dietitians get on and say keto is like the worst diet you could ever do. You are just.
Yeah, because they believe elimination diets are dangerous. And they believe that it creates disordered eating. They believe that anytime you take a group of foods and label them bad, that you are disrupting the nature of
It's so
intuitive
weird.
eating, or
Right?
they
It's so
they they
weird.
have ideas, and I don't know if that's just what they've learned or what they find,
That's what I
but
figured. They just learned it in school, and who are they working for? What is it? The food pyramid that was created. That's where they learn.
yeah, the standard American diet
Standard
is
American diet.
the diet that they're probably going by, right? Or maybe some, changes based on, if you have medical problems. But the average person that I hear about that is always intuitive eating, blah, 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 blah. Don't ever eliminate food groups, give into your cravings here and there. You have to learn how to portion control. That's all you need is calorie
Right.
deficit. That's what they believe.
Yeah.
And does that work for some people? Absolutely.
Right.
But it didn't work for me.
Or
In
me.
fact, anytime I try to intuitively eat, I intuitively get large. Like,
Yes.
I just don't have, I didn't have a good relationship with my food. And I
Right.
did not have a sense of portion control without weighing and doing all
Yeah.
those things.
You had to learn how
Well,
to. You had to
there
learn how
are
to eat.
Right. There are days now where I weigh my food and don't track it, but I know exactly what I'm intaking because I've been doing
Right.
this for so
So
long. It's
long.
fine.
Exactly. Right.
So to me, that is my version of intuitive eating. It's
Right.
not putting it in a tracker, still weighing. Because
Yeah, because you gotta
I'm
know how
never
much you're
going
eating.
to,
Hmm.
because I've said this a million times.
Right.
I'm real generous to myself,
Right.
and
Right.
we
We
all
all
are.
are. We all are.
Oh, a little bit more, another bite of cheese,
Yeah.
another couple more
And
lilies.
it
It's
adds up.
fine. It
Mm-hmm.
adds up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you do this over time. And I read this somewhere. If you just have one extra snack a day, like the average person puts on 1 to 2 pounds every single year after they turn 16 or 17. And that doesn't seem like anything.
But over time, it adds
But
up.
over time, that's 30, 40 pounds, right?
Yeah.
If you could just take that one snack out, you would
Yeah.
just either be maintaining or staying like within, a healthy range and not gain that 1 to 2 pounds. So the whole thing is here, we really want weight loss, like super upfront, and we want to do all these drastic things. But if we just are more mindful, if we just make small changes, we can at least keep from gaining.
Right.
Right.
Well, you
So,
just
but go ahead.
You just said that about, how you still need to weigh your food, but you don't have to necessarily track it because you've been doing this long enough that you know.
Yeah.
So, this episode, one size doesn't fit all, one of the things I know for myself that I have transitioned, I have evolved, I have changed the way I keto in the last couple years. And the thing that I have learned recently in the last few months is by changing from substitution keto to whole food keto, if that makes sense. The calories, I don't have a problem. I've heard people say, you don't have to count your calories if you just eat ABC, right? I'm like, yeah, but who does that? Because I wasn't doing that. But I started doing that. My ABC is vegetables first, protein second, fat third, or the fat is sprinkled in the vegetables and a little, and on the protein as well. So fat, I'm always having fat. Like fat's going to have, but I don't have an abundance of fat anymore. Whereas before I thought you're supposed to have a ton of fat because I thought that was how you keto, right? That was the rule. You have to have this much fat, this much carb, this much. And I've learned for myself by doing that, as long as I am eating more vegetables, low carb vegetables, eating a certain amount of protein, moderate, whatever, and having good fats. Because I feel like good fats just go through my body better. Like when I say good fats, like avocado oil, what is the latest? I love avocado oil. Like it has surpassed olive oil for me. I love avocado oil. So like those flax seeds, chia seeds, those good fats, they just go through me. They digest better for me. I feel better. So like doing those things, guess what else they are? Very low calorie. So I am always in a calorie deficit and I don't have to track it. I don't have to track. But before, when I was having, and nothing wrong with this, by the way, but before when I was having the substitutions and I was making the special pancakes and the special cakes and the special, all the things that you see a lot of, because I felt like I needed all that. I did have to track, and I was going too far over in calories and things like that because the fat that I was having, it's high in calories. Heavy cream is higher in calories. Cream cheese is high. And I was having a lot of that because that's what I saw a lot of. Now I'm not having that very often. I'm just not. And I'm not interested in it. And I've also learned you don't need as much food as you think you need. Now, I'm not saying starve yourself, and I'm not saying don't eat enough. But what I'm saying is a lot of those experts like to tell you need 2,000 calories. You need, when you're not even considering the person's height, their weight, their age, activity level, like all that matters. And what you're eating. So if I'm eating big old salads with all these different vegetables and some protein, and then that's one big meal, which is just a few hundred calories because the vegetables are so low. And let's just say I have my eggs and bacon earlier in the day and then I have some, it just is not going to be 2,000 calories. And I'm not going to make myself have 2,000 calories of green beans. We talked about that. We're going to eat 2,000 calories of green beans.
You'll be eating all day.
I know, gross.
20.
Like that much?
Yeah.
Green beans. I like about that much green beans, not a big bowl of green beans.
Exactly. Well, and I think, a big thing here too is like you may start with one idea and in one place. And you may evolve over time. I mean, that's what we're meant to do. It's just this thing. But what I really have noticed with keto is that your taste severely change.
Yes.
And you think it's kind of crazy. And you're like, I'm never going to not want a candy. I'm never going to not want spaghetti. I'm never going to not want a bread or whatever.
It happens.
But I'm telling you, I've had a bite of this or that, the here and there. And I'm like, oh, that is sickeningly so sweet. Like,
right.
This. And it's almost gross to me. And it's just such a weird, phenomenon to have happen when you've eaten one way your whole life. And then, I joked the other day that I haven't had a pizza, like a real pizza, in more than 2 years. Like I have not had a slice of pizza that's not keto because I make keto pizza
and it's just fine and good. It's enough. It tastes great.
And we talked about this before. It's all about the toppings and all the other stuff. It's really not the bread, right? And what I have found is that I just don't feel that great. And you
That matter.
you
That's a
are
big one.
motivated to feel good when you start feeling good, and when you don't feel good, you don't
And
want to do that thing again.
right, and what you're eating is tied to your feeling. But to
Right.
piggyback off what you're saying about our taste buds and how you'll try something like like you've taken a bite of something regular, meaning full of sugar, maybe
Yes.
processed, whatever,
Yes.
and you're
Like a
like,
jelly
ew,
bean.
that's
I was like,
gross.
disgusting.
Right. So here's a funny story for you. I was trying these cookies, and I had won a giveaway, and they're these little
Oh
cookies that I
yeah, I
got.
saw you on your story. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'd already had these guys bites, right? But they had sent me the little cookies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Their lemon cookie, it's chipmunk baking, right?
Yeah.
Their chocolate chip was great, but their lemon, I can't even believe it's not even like lemon. Like I was like,
That's
I'm gonna
so
try the
funny.
lemon, but I'm not a big lemon fan. Oh, it was so good. And I was raving about it so much. Pete said, I'll try it. Let me try it. My husband said, I'll try it. Forgetting we have an audience that's listening. And so he took a bite. And he hasn't been keto for a while, by the way.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's been months since he's been keto. But I said in my
Yeah, I
story
heard you
he's
say that.
talking
That's
about
right. That's
wanting to
right.
go
But
back
it's been
because he
months.
hates
I
how
thought it
it
was more
feels.
recent.
Oh, it's been like probably 2 to 3 months. It's not been that long, but it's been a couple months, yeah. But anyway, he tasted the cookie. He went, "Oh, that is gross," and I was like, "What?" It was so weird to me how,
Yeah.
and it's the same as
Yeah.
how people would think it's weird when you, as a keto person who has a completely different palate now,
Yeah,
will
you
taste something
do.
and go, "Oh, that's so gross." He's doing the same with the keto food, like because it was made from, I
Yes.
guess, allulose and almond flour and the things that are
And I
not that.
warn people against that. I'm like, don't eat those things until you're well into it, because you will be
Right, because you got to
sad.
wait for your
You
taste
will
buds
be
to change.
like,
It was
oh,
like
it's gonna be
Twilight Zone for me
terrible.
because I was like,
So
"Ha,
funny.
gross?
You're like,
Gross?
you're
This
on
is
another
not
planet. I can't
gross."
even look at you right now. It's delicious.
It was
Rude.
absolutely
Well, that's all
amazing.
that matters, is that you liked it.
And I will buy more. I will buy some. I didn't even buy these. I got them in a giveaway.
And you could
So
sit on
good.
his lap in the kitchen and eat it, or
Yeah, I'll just
whatever.
eat
No, I'm just
it.
kidding. Just like smell that. Isn't it amazing?
I'll go blow
Yeah,
my
you can't
breath
have
on it
any.
after I eat it. You want some? Can't have it. Oh, you don't want it
But
anyway.
that's such a good example of like how over time, when you take something out, it doesn't have to be this, you know,
Detrimental.
detriment, or it, and you
Dying.
don't have to think like, oh, I can never have that again.
Right.
You just decide you don't want it. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of times where I'm at, is like, I'm good.
But you don't know till you do it. You don't know till you do it. So
You
we
don't know
sitting
until
here
you do
saying
it.
this, and unless you've done it, you're like, whatever.
Whatever. You guys are
I
crazy.
could
Listen,
never.
if I can do it,
Right.
I
Right.
swear there is nothing in the world that is different from me than the next person
Well, you know
that was
what?
overweight.
I got to say this. This has got to be part of this too. I was a Coke drinker my whole life, and I've shared this before.
Yeah.
So I stopped it in 2014. I won't go over the whole story again. I stopped it in 2014 November. So a few months ago, my son, my teenager's like, "Why don't you taste it?" Because I was always afraid to drink it again because I thought
I know.
because of
Yeah.
my addiction, I
That
would
it would
want
trigger.
to. Right.
Yeah.
But it had been years at this point, and I was like, I mean, I guess I could taste it. I don't think it'd make me go back because now I know I don't want to, but I'll taste it. Oh my gosh, it was disgusting. It
Yeah, it's
was
gross. It's really
disgusting.
gross.
And I
Coke is
never
all of that
thought
is disgusting.
I was that person that said, "Oh, I could never do
Never
without
give this up.
Coke. I got to have one in the morning. I got to have another one in the morning. I got to have another." I
I
could
thought I could never
never.
deal without like like real chocolate, or like real like bread.
You mean
Like
as in
sourdough
processed
bread.
chocolate?
Right. Like bread was like sourdough bread was slathered in butter, and now I'm like, that would make me feel terrible. I actually don't want that.
Yeah.
It's just
And that's a
funny
big
how.
decision maker when you know how it's going to make you feel. That's always a helpful thing for me.
Yeah,
That will
because
help me to
that's
say no quicker.
yeah. And
But
don't get me wrong,
sometimes I give in, but
there are times that I do give in as well, and there's nothing wrong
and it
with that.
reminds you how you don't like to feel.
There's nothing wrong with that. For example, my grandmother, my family is German. Tomorrow she's making the German family dinner, and it is full of carbs, and it's got
Right.
fats in it too. But and I will eat it tomorrow because my
Right.
grandma's not going to be around for a long time. Not much
Exactly.
longer.
Yeah.
And we make choices, and will I suffer the next day? Probably won't feel great. I don't usually do. But it keeps me on track for a really long time after that. And I used to be so hardcore, you know this, about
Yeah,
not
yeah, you
going off
wouldn't have
track. I
even,
would
right,
not give myself
right,
that wiggle room because I didn't trust myself. And that's really the truth, is that in my mind, I created myself to be an abstainer because I couldn't handle it. But I have proven to myself that I can do these things and go back because it doesn't make me feel great. And
right.
I really, really, really enjoy what I'm eating, and what it's so important.
Yeah,
It's so important. It is everything to
yeah,
enjoy and look forward to your meals. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. They can think it's crazy. They can think eliminating foods is crazy. But when they see the weight coming off, no one's going to say anything with that hamburger from McDonald's in your hand and the
right,
bag of
right.
fries. The
Hmm.
moment that you just eat the bun, or you take the bun off and eat the
You're a
burger,
weirdo. What are you
you're
doing? Right,
crazy.
right.
Or the moment that you bring in a salad and sprinkle chicken on it and you've got bacon and cheese on it, well, that's not good for
That's
your cholesterol.
unhealthy.
But somehow the burger and the soda, no one's going to say
With the
anything.
fries
No one's
and
going
the,
to say anything. I watch it happen in my store all the time. People
because that's the
eat out
normal. That's the
and no
normal.
one says anything. And then they eat then they see, then they ask me about my meals, or I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, oh, you don't want to eat that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to eat the
Yeah,
donuts. Like, I'm
yeah,
good. No one says anything to anybody.
right.
But then as soon as like, oh, you're keto,
I know, it's
and so,
so
you
dumb,
know,
right? Like, get
it
off my
really is like,
food.
I think part of it too is that people wish maybe they had that self-control, or they think
Yeah,
that and it's not really that. It's just that I really
making a
honestly feel
decision.
so good and I enjoy my food. So I choose it every
Right,
day. I
right.
don't have to do it. I
You
choose
enjoy
it.
the way it makes you feel. You enjoy the way it tastes. It has been so good for you. You've
And I
lost
lost
weight. You
like
feel
almost 100
amazing. You have
pounds.
energy. I mean, why wouldn't you like it? Do you know what I
And I'm
mean?
like, that donut is not going to bring me any of
No,
those things.
it
Like,
might bring you that
none of them
momentary excitement of that
for a
whatever happens
second.
when you eat all
Yeah.
that stuff, but guarantee
Right.
you're not gonna be
So
happy
I'd rather
later.
use it on family made meals that my grandma's going to make
Right.
dough from scratch, and she's going to be in the kitchen for 6
From
hours
love, made
tomorrow.
from love, not from a
And
drive-through.
it's memories, and my son is asking for it, which is strange because kids don't usually really like German food. And he's like, I want, my grandma says, oh, you're such a good little German boy.
Oh, it gives
To
him
say that to
good.
me, you're such a good little German girl. You ate all your dinner. So, you know, that's what I choose to
Right.
do because that is a memory, and that means
Yes.
more to me than a random slice of pizza. Once again,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. We all make choices, and part of this episode is saying that it, is a choice that you're going to make. Are you going to be an abstainer, or can you be a person? And you and I do this completely different, where you can schedule, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not eating this way today, and that's okay because I'm going to eat this way tomorrow.
Yeah.
And some people can do that, and that's just one of those things too, that you have got to do that experiment and be your own experiment, like you always say, and really find out, how does this work for you and what does it look like?
Yeah. So have you ever seen those keto, the keto cult? I'm just kidding.
I'm in one. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's
We're a
me.
proud member of
I'm
the keto
here.
cult.
It's called More Than Just Keto. It's where
Okay.
we trick you to think it's more, but it's keto. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
But the keto folks, have you ever seen keto folks pushing keto on other people?
I have. I've seen people try to convert people from doing one thing or
I've
another.
heard that
I,
before, but I
I've
haven't seen
seen
it firsthand.
TikToks and
Uh-huh.
people just trash. It's kind of like what you said in the beginning, where it's like people say all the things they hate about it. That's them trying to, persuade people not to do it. There's the same thing people saying, like, well, you're trash for eating XYZ. Like, you know what I mean? Or
Oh,
you cause X.
yeah.
You've seen
Okay.
these. You've seen it. You've seen it. Um, I mean, I don't find myself a pusher. I try to be really, really objective in people's food, especially when they bring it up to me. And I'm like, look, I talk about it because I love it, but I'm not trying to get you to do it. It's not a
Yeah.
cult and I don't need you to join. It's not, you know, people
It's not
joke
some
and like,
secret
is this
society.
like CrossFit or vegan? Like once you're a part of the club, you're like cool. And I'm like, no, but if you are saying that you're feeling like X, Y, and Z and you've got weight to lose, I mean, what could it hurt
What are
to
you going to
try? Have you
recommend?
tried?
It's worked for
Right.
you.
And
Right.
so,
That's logic. And people would do that with anything else. Why not
yeah.
keto?
And so I always tell people, especially like at work, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that smells so good, or that looks so good. I'm like, taste it. It's really good. they're like, dang, you can eat this? I'm like,
oh, there you go. You're giving them a taste of it. You
yeah.
see, just so
Yeah.
they'll
I'm
come
like,
back for
taste
more.
it. Yeah. I'm trying to suck them in because everybody that doesn't do keto is terrible. That's
Right,
just so
right.
crazy. I think
Heathens.
when you love something, you want to share
You're
it.
passionate about
And I'm
it. Yeah.
super passionate about it. I mean, everybody knows, like, we do the podcast. I have the account. I lost a lot of weight. It worked for me. It
Yeah.
obviously was a really big indication of where my health was to have such a drastic reaction to eating, just changing my food, with my mood, with my weight, with my health in general. It obviously was a path that was destined for me.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out if that's for you. And a
Totally.
lot of us out there have had similar reactions or just the mental clarity. People talk about that all the time. Even people that don't have weight to lose have said that they just really like how clean that diet style is when they eat it. Because I did more clean keto. I still do more clean keto. And we started different in
so
that
much
way.
better. But I'm not going to dog on the dirty side, okay? Be dirty, go be
whatever
dirty.
gets you
I don't
started
care.
or whatever keeps you from eating the real thing
Yeah.
is what you do.
I think I
You'll
shared
adjust.
I shared that last episode. I said I was asked, would I have had the same success had I started clean and strict? No, I don't think I would have. I think I would have quit because it would have been for me, it would have been just like everything else I had tried. It's just trying to get that mindset to go, oh, I can have mayonnaise. Oh, I can have butter. Because even though they say they don't label food as bad, that is a lie because they do. You shouldn't have mayonnaise. You shouldn't have, you shouldn't have butter. Those are bad. It's like, wait, what?
Everybody does. You said you started and didn't think you could hold on. And I thought if I did it dirty, that it was going to be too similar to my regular prior.
Yeah,
and so
okay, that makes sense.
I thought I'll just end up eating the real thing because it doesn't really taste that good anyway.
Isn't that interesting? Totally different.
I tasted the keto stuff and I was like, this is gross. I just want to eat the bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, I've got to clean my food up.
So that's just proof. It's not one size fits all. Like that right there is proof.
The recipe
and
for
we evolve.
success
Yeah.
is you finding out what you need to do to be successful.
Right.
Right. So and
it may not be the same as your neighbor.
Right. And loving what you do is so important.
Yeah. So just remember, keto is not one size fits all, and you can change and evolve even in a certain way of eating. So keto is the blanket way of eating, but there's so much under that blanket, and you find what works for you, what's sustainable for you, and that will be what you enjoy, how it makes you feel, and that's what you're going to decide to do. You're going to have a better potential of success, if you are enjoying, and we've said that a million times, but you have to enjoy what you do. And that was that recipe for success, right? Enjoying what you do.
Yeah, enjoying what you do. And remember that you may try things on a lot of times before you find something that fits just right.
Oh, I like that.
There is nothing wrong with that. And if you walk into a dressing room and you try something on one time and you never try anything else on, that's not how the world works, right? You're going to go and you're going to find something. You're going to find something to wear. You're going to find, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with dieting. You've got to try again and again until you find what fits you.
Yeah.
It's not going to be one size fits all. And oftentimes you're going to have to carve out your own path, but you can find success and it can be long-term.
Yeah.
If you give it yourself that benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. That's a really good way to end it. So thank y'all so much. We hope y'all enjoyed this episode and you don't feel apologetic or question yourself the way you do keto, and stand firm, stand proud, and be happy with how you're doing it. If it's working for you, who cares what anybody else says, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see y'all next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You can find and connect with us over on Instagram at More Than Just Keto. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss out on the fun. We'll see you next time.